Continue to work on the nuances of graduation. He'll be sending out a graduation survey tonight, and I'll be meeting Wednesday with the school leadership to discuss possible solutions for this year's graduation ceremony on June 4th. I know I sound like a broken record this year, but we really need everyone to stay the course as we try our best to mitigate the spread of the virus. We've got athletic events, the musical, graduation, and day-to-day operations and opportunities planned for now through June 4th, and we want all of our students to be able to participate in and enjoy them all. At all times, do your best to social distance, wear a mask, and wash your hands. Like the old Smokey the Bear commercial where he used to say, "Only you can prevent forest fires," it's now only you can prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Yeah, it was. Well done.
That's it, Mr. President.
Any correspondence from the secretary tonight?
I did receive a letter from Karen Wolf, who is an East Lampeter resident. She was writing to express her thank you to each of you for knowing the importance of keeping our schools functioning and as open as possible during the COVID pandemic. She's thanking you for realizing the importance of children and young adults being in school and having the opportunity for one-to-one instruction with their teachers and also the socialization with their classmates. So she is thanking the school board, teachers, administration, and staff for their efforts they put in place to benefit our students. It was so important and so appreciated. The letter is also attached for your review.
Thank you. Any board comments tonight?
I did listen to a couple of the science fair projects when they were first, but not all of them. Mostly because they're way above my head, but I am impressed with the variety of areas that we won awards in. It wasn't just limited to a few. Behavioral sciences is showing up much stronger, which is an important thing today, and all of the other sciences. I think that speaks well for allowing our kids to focus on the areas of science that interest them.
Agreed. Any other comments from the board? All right. Now is the time for our student report.
We're gonna start with the transition program.
Okay. The transition program.
All right, good evening. My name is Mike Smith, principal here at the high school. Thank you for giving us this opportunity here to be able to present some of the programs and great things that we have here going on at the high school. I've never been prouder to work with the staff that we have in place that has continually gone above and beyond this year to do what's best for our students here at CV. In addition, I continue to be humbled by our perseverance of our students who have just continually, again, gone above and beyond to overcome the pandemic and all the challenges that they faced this year. So we have two programs that we're going to highlight here this evening, first being the transition program. So I'll introduce them. We have a couple staff members that are here this evening, as well as a couple students. So our staff members that are here tonight are Mr. Will Dans, Mr. Jay Grisafi, and Miss Melissa Garvey, who is our IU trainer. In addition, I would like to welcome sophomore Joey Cusack and freshman Annika Hershey, who will be sharing their experiences within our transition program.
So I want to echo what Dr. Smith said. I want to thank Dr. Z, our supervisor, Sarah Schaefer, and Dr. Smith for allowing us the opportunity to speak about our transition program in front of all of you today. The goal of our transition program is to put students in proper position to gain the skills and the knowledge and also agency contacts to help them after their post-secondary graduation. The goal of our program is to kind of mold and individualize everything according to each student and their individual and unique needs.
Sure.
So we're located in a classroom that's off of the cafeteria, which has worked out very well for us. And we knew early on when we decided how we wanted to put together our classroom that we were going to need a flexible space. We did write a grant and we were awarded a nice sum of money from the CV Education Foundation. And that gave us the ability to really make our room a multi-purpose room which is able to be set up as a traditional classroom setting that could also host guest speakers, as well as a workshop setting. And we're gonna have some students share about some of the workshop activities later.
As you can see in the picture on the left, the dual functionality of the transition center, that's set up for our classroom setting for the UDS, which stands for the United Disability Services Program. Each Tuesday and Thursday, and some Wednesdays, they come into the transition center and teach students a variety of topics. The first topic is typically called Adulting 101, which is peer management, stress reduction, budgetary needs, and things along those lines. And the second is driver's education. What's really been good about the driver's education part is that we've had 3 students, and going to be 4, that have been getting free behind the wheel instruction through Brandt's driving school, and that's totally funded by UDS, no cost to the student or their families.
Picture on the right is what we call an in-house work crew. In-house work offers students who are academically eligible the opportunity to participate in a paid work crew during free periods. As you can see, we serviced over 60 students in our program this year. The over 650 hours of paid experiences are made possible by the IU13's community-based work incentive agreement. This agreement allows us to partner with numerous businesses throughout Lancaster and Lebanon counties. The best way to describe this is we basically act as a temp agency without the markup, and the students receive all of the monies that they've earned. These opportunities offered by our business partners give real-life, hands-on, valuable experiences in various settings. On these experiences, we look to teach job skills, social awareness, and work ethic to empower students to gain and maintain independence as they transition into adult life.
You can see here we have a variety of both paid and volunteer experiences that we bring students out for community-based vocational instruction. On the right-hand side there, you'll see under volunteer opportunities, there are some nursing care facilities that we're not able to get out to this year for obvious reasons, but there have been longstanding partnerships that we look to continue in the future. But when you look at the number of students that we take out and how many places we go, it really has been a massive supportive effort, really starting with the school board on down, administration, high school staff, parents, everyone really rallying around our students and our cause to free them up to have the ability to miss a class once a week or maybe more to really have this valuable experience. So we really appreciate all the support that we've gotten and look forward to that continuing in the future.
Joey Cusack is here this evening to tell you a little bit about her volunteer experiences, her paid experiences, as well as her work that she has done inside the transition center.
You can move it, yeah.
One of the paid works that I've done is grocery outlet, and while I'm there, I'm stocking the shelves, making sure that the price tag matches with the product, making sure the price is the right, and I also put the carts back into the
Into the store.
returning them into the store and sanitizing them. And then the Commonwealth is making fly traps like these. I put fly paper and
Different components,
Yeah.
lots of different parts in the box.
different parts into it.
And who do you work with? Do you work with other students or?
Oh, yeah, and I work with other students so that I don't have to do like all of it by myself, but we all take turns doing different jobs so that we all get to experience a different job each time.
Next slide, please.
And then for volunteer work, I did Reuse It Shop, 10,000 Villages, and CVCCS. At the Reuse It Shop, I did all sorts of stuff from pricing and cleaning to making sure that everything's where it's supposed to be and restocking.
And what are you doing in this picture, Joey?
And
That's not your fault.
in the picture, I'm working the cash register
Why is that a good experience for you this year especially?
because
Closer.
this year I got a job at Dutch Wonderland in retail and games. So I'm gonna be using a cash register, so this was a good chance for me to get used to working like with customers and working with money and making sure that I know how to do that ahead of time.
Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Annika Mushi.
Got questions on my phone?
I've been to 10,000 villages.
Hold on one second.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Annika Mushi. I've been to 10,000 villages, Meals on Wheels, Reuse It, and CVCCS.
Yeah, what are you doing in this picture?
I am at 10,000 villages. I am in the picture. I am in
Pricing?
pricing, labeling, and quality control.
Okay, yeah. Tell us what you do at Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels. I help people that don't have food
What do we do for them?
for meals. So
What do we do?
How
How do you help them? What are we doing for them? What are we bringing them?
meals.
We're bringing them meals.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Can you tell us about CVCCS real quick?
So CVCCS is
The food bank,
it's a
food and
food
clothing
bank and clothing bank, and
And what are we doing there?
I am
What are we putting in bags? Putting more
putting more things,
weekend blessings?
racing blessings and
Where are we bringing them?
to different schools.
Yes, good.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I am at Greenleaf. In this picture, I'm at Greenleaf, and then I'm transferring plants to different greenhouses. And then next picture, I'm at not grocery outlet. I'm at grocery outlet, doing carts and stocking shelves, and then Commonwealth.
Great job, Annika.
So an important part of any transition program is agency linkage. The first one you see there is OVR, which stands for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. They can do anything from job shadows to internships to assisting students that are college bound with lab fees, books, even tuition assistance. So we typically like to get our students involved with OVR the back end of their 10th grade or their junior year. The IU13, obviously through our job training services with Mrs. Garvey. Lancaster County BHDS, which also helps our autistic and our intellectual disability students. Again, they help with funding after graduation. CVCCS, we already spoke about their Weekend Blessings program that we assist with. The UDS Foundation, we spoke about how they come in Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then ahead, we utilize them for vocational assessments for our students. So our last slide to wrap it up is our post-secondary transition outcomes. So this is what we try to prepare all of our students for. Competitive employment, we have a very good success rate with a lot of our students getting jobs. We check in with their employers to make sure everything's going well. and then we encourage the students things they need to improve upon. Assisted employment is another area where we help some students. Those are places like Ears, Lighthouse, and ODC Center. Some of our students are college bound, whether that be community college or a state college. We provide tours, things along the lines for those students on campus to the local colleges. Technical school or training, again, that could be CTC as an adult. And then the last component is independent living. So all these skills wrap up and tie into that last goal of independent living and helping students along the lines with that.
That's awesome.
Thank you for all your attention. We really appreciate it.
Joe and Annika, good job.
Hey, girls, good job.
Yep, as you guys can tell in the short few minutes there that Annika is very shy. But again, great job to Annika and Joey. I appreciate you guys coming to speak about. As you can see, this is the first year for this program and we've already made great strides. So we just hope that it continues to grow from here. Next up, we're going to highlight our Power Club. Our Power Club is supervised by Mrs. Carla DiClemente and Mrs. Zulma Gonzalez. I know Mrs. DiClemente's here. In addition, we have the officers that will be presenting. So we have our president, Jaden Stokes, that's here. Our vice president, Kayla Monjovi, who I'm never going to forget her name. She said it's with an M and it's like Bon Jovi. So I will never forget that. I'm just happy that she knows who Bon Jovi is. Secretary Andrea Tu and Treasurer Samuel Brehe. So I'll let them take it away.
I'm Carla DiClemente's secondary school social worker, and of course the advisor, and then Ms. Zulma Gonzalez is the other advisor who's done an amazing job. But before they start, I just wanted to say how proud we are of these kids. This is really a student-led club. They are driven, they are motivated. It's just amazing what they have been able to do this school year. And so I can't wait for you all to hear all the amazing things, and mostly just the environment that they have created of unity and celebrating just everybody. So I just wanted to say that before they get started, how proud I am of them.
Hi, I'm Jaden Stokes, the president, and then on the next slide, you can see the introduction that basically Dr. Smith just did, but there's a very well done collage that I did myself. I'm very proud of it. Unfortunately, we don't have a group picture of all the officers, but that's what we'll have for today. On the next slide, you'll be able to see our mission statement. So basically, Power is a club that was created last year, but with COVID and everything, it was kind of just like left in all different pieces. So this officer group over here really picked it up and made it what it is today. So Power is a club where we celebrate diversity in our CV community. We welcome and empower all ethnicities and races, and empower, it's our job to inform the school in a big and bright way. And then on these next couple of slides, you'll be seeing what exactly we do. So the bulletin board is led by our secretary, Andrea Tu, and our treasurer, Samuel. And then they will explain to you what they do.
Okay, so pretty much me and Andrea are the board leaders. And every month we pretty much choose something special about that month as far as something ethnic, as you can see, women of color, Native American Heritage Month, and then Black Lives Matter month. So pretty much with the Black Lives Matter, it was a Black History Month board, and then we transformed it, which was something very special to us. We come in like two or three times every month, 7 a.m. in the morning. And then we print out all the letters, print out all the pictures, print out descriptions of people, cultures, foods, and then we pretty much make boards of it, and we love to see people's reactions, and we post it on social media, and we hope that it's affecting the school positively.
To add on to Sam, we have 2 shifts that we require all of our board community to do, either at lunch or in the morning. They can choose, but obviously in the morning a lot of people have different clubs that they're in, and every month we highlight something like Native American Heritage Month or Black History Month. So we highlight all those, and then we focus on activists mostly, and obviously in the Black Lives Matter board we focused on victims of police brutality, and that went along with our Let's All Heal hoodies that we did. So yeah, that's about it.
The next slide is posters, which is led by the Vice President Kayla Monjovi, and then she will be explaining those.
So as Jaden said, I'm Kayla, and in the poster committee, we research certain activists or holidays. Recently, it's been activists. And after we do this research, we make posters, and it's like a few different people in the group that will make posters. They get hung around the school. And then this just creates a more educational and welcoming environment in our school so where people can read and see these posters. One of the first ones is Ellen Ochoa, and she was the first Hispanic woman to go to space. And we just commemorate the people and holidays during the months.
And then, sorry, on the next slide, or this slide, is the announcements group, which is what I head. And we have a group of about 8 students. And every month they're required to make about a 30-second video, and then we compile them all together. And they're shown on the announcements once a month. Sometimes we show them twice, but overall, I'm really proud of these kids just because putting yourself out there on the announcements is not something everyone wants to do, because you're sitting there and your face is big on the screen and you're in class and it's really awkward. So, like that. It's officially National Women's History Month, and in this video we're going to talk about so many important things like self-care, the importance of intersectional feminism, and so many other important issues. And I really hope you guys enjoy this video. We also have a new bulletin board that's now in the student lobby, and we're keeping up our Black Lives Matter board. Power is bringing so many new things. Thank you so much for all the money we raised during the Healing Hoodies, and I just really hope you enjoyed this video.
Here in Lancaster, there are a bunch of businesses owned by women of color, but today I'm specifically going to talk about Lush Bazaar. The owner of Lush Bazaar is Timbrel Adilada. She grew up in Lancaster and went to CV and Millersville, and after decided to volunteer in India to teach underprivileged children, even though she didn't know the languages. Still wanting to help, she was a house mother of 14 children, and she taught the mother of these children how to sew and sell clothes. She's always loved fashion. Growing up, she would find ways to mix American and Indian fashion together, like making her own jeans, but with Indian patterns. She's also always been very passionate about producing and sourcing her clothing ethically through slow fashion and by rejecting fast fashion. Fast fashion is basically the production of cheap clothing due to the labor wages being inexpensive and because of the poor working conditions. Despite doing all this good, she was also an independent woman in India, which can be very sexist at times. For example, her landlord was not supportive of her running her women-owned business in her apartment. She also had her workshop broken into, and materials and equipment of hers was stolen, and when she went to the police for help, they just blamed it on her female staff. Now, Lush Bazaar is a fashion brand that empowers and inspires women all over the world by giving underprivileged women a stable environment to work in that's not a sweatshop. Giving them the opportunities or talents of sewing, embroidery work, marketing, and other talents they have to produce ethical products to Lancaster and surrounding areas. Despite all the challenges, ups and downs, and negatives that came with starting her business, she's still so grateful that she gets to do what she loves every day.
Such a swing example.
So that was an example of it. So those go on our announcements at least once a month. We actually had our Jewish American Heritage Month and Native American Pacific American Heritage Month video played today. But overall, that's what we do as a club, and with the terrible circumstances we've had this year, I'm so proud of everything we could do, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without everyone in this room's support and then the work of my amazing officers. So thank you so much for having us.
Follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for allowing us to have a little bit of time to showcase the great things that are happening. Again, we couldn't be more proud not only of what they're doing to better themselves, but also what they're doing to better our school and the greater community. So we look forward to the great things that they'll continue to do. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You guys did great.
Thank you.
time in our meeting for public comments. Don't see anyone in here from that, so any comments from CVEA tonight? All right. Comments from any other employee groups? All right. Next is our consent agenda. Board, this is things we've talked about or have, or are routine in nature. As a result of that, Board, I need a motion to approve our consent agenda tonight.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, starting with Dana.
Aye.
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 And I. All right. Moving on, Dave, do you want to say anything?
Yes, Mr. President, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jill Kozer as our recommended candidate for the position of Assistant to the Superintendent, Elementary Education. Ms. Peckley Valley grad is coming back to the area after earning her bachelor's degree in elementary education, special education from Millersville, her master's degree in educational leadership and administration from Widener University, and her doctorate in school systems leadership also from Widener. Jill started her elementary teaching career in the school district of Lancaster, where she later became principal of Robert Fulton Elementary prior to her promotion to central office administration. She is currently serving as the Assistant Superintendent for Special Education in the school district of the City of York. On behalf of the entire administrative team, I am proud to present Jill, her wealth of knowledge and experience, her positive team building, student-centered attitude to the board as our recommended candidate for the Assistant to the Superintendent, Elementary Education.
Board, I will take a motion to approve the recommendation.
Move we approve Dr. Jill Kozer.
Second.
Roll call, starting with Keisha.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And I. Welcome. Would you like to say anything?
Absolutely, yes. So just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I've been able to meet many of you in the room. Honored and privileged to be here tonight and excited to continue the work that is just absolutely amazing in the CV family. So I'm excited to be on board. Thank you.
Welcome, we're excited to have you.
You'll be starting with us around June 21st.
Okay. All right. Next, Mark from KNW.
Good evening, board members and the administrative team. So following up on our conversation at last week's meeting, we did put together a construction cost estimate for the proposed road improvements on both Horseshoe and Mount Sidney / Hartman Station. That did just go up on the board website today. I have hard copies with me if anybody would like me to hand any out. Good. Sure thing. I apologize for the moderately small type. There's a lot of information in here.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I've got one more.
I do, yep.
Thanks.
I'm good.
That'd be good. So again, just kind of to set the stage a bit for the estimate here. So as part of the, well, it's triggered initially by the middle school project, in working both with the township and ultimately with PennDOT, they've required a fair amount of improvements on both Horseshoe Road, portions of Mount Sidney Road, and then as Mount Sidney crosses Horseshoe up onto Hartman Station. That work, while it was initiated as part of the middle school project, was intentionally carved out and separate as part of the discussion with the township in order to allow that process to kind of run separately while the middle school building project could get underway. This actually does reflect, this work reflects the conversion also of the old middle school into the elementary school. So kind of these improvements capture both of those projects all in kind of one fell swoop. As far as the detail, what I've done here is broken out. Page 1 is essentially a summation of the Horseshoe Road improvements. In general, it's basically the entire frontage of the school's property along Horseshoe. Widening includes turn lanes, both center left turn lanes and right turn lanes, associated stormwater management and drainage issues, and acquisition of rights of way, which will be required to provide the improvements that PennDOT's requiring. The second page contains essentially the Mount Sidney / Hartman Station road improvements. It's a little more broken up. There's actually, the requirements on that road include 2 right turn lanes as you're heading south on Mount Sidney into 2 existing school driveways, And in addition, at the intersection itself, it's some modifications to the traffic signal timing, the existing signal that's located there. And as you're northbound on Mount Sidney, where you would be turning right onto Horseshoe, we're adding a turn lane in there, so you'll have ultimately a dedicated left, a through, and a dedicated right. So there is some history here to these improvements. I think as part of a previous project years ago, this had been discussed, was not effectuated at that point in time. I'm not certain exactly why, but a lot of the work along Horseshoe Road is kind of a bit of a legacy issue that's now basically been triggered by the improvements that we're doing on campus currently. And then on the last page, you'll see basically a summation of all those items, and then you'll see a number of percentages. Those are items that at this point we can typically just quantify as a percentage, things like contractor bonding and insurance, the cost for contractors to mobilize. I'm going to lift up a few specific items here, both in that section, and they do kind of carry back to the previous pages. So because we're at this conceptual stage, we obviously don't have a detailed design completed yet. So there are some assumptions in here. Generally speaking, for the most part, we can quantify most of what's happening here, but probably 3 items I wanted to identify as, we'll take some time to get into design and work through some of the specifics. Number one is there are several utility poles along both Horseshoe Road and in the area of Mount Sidney where we're doing the road widening. We have accounted for a cost to relocate those. It is unknown at this time if that's going to be required. It is awfully close. That's why we included them. It is possible as we work through the design that we can preserve those locations and then not have to spend that money. Along with that, stormwater management is just very difficult to quantify until we get into the design phase. Again, we put in some kind of almost like a typical percentage of construction cost for those items as a placeholder. And then lastly, I did want to mention the right-of-way acquisition. Talked about this before. Again, inherently, because the road has to be widened, there is a specific right-of-way that exists. If any of those improvements carry beyond that right-of-way, we have to secure additional right-of-way from those property owners. On occasion, it might be an easement if it's just for grading or site distance. There will be some amount of negotiation, likely in conversation, certainly with all of those impacted property owners. So we've kind of provided a plug number in there as to, okay, in exchange for being able to take that piece of land for right-of-way or easements, is there some exchange that would need to go to those property owners? So again, those are the things that as we start to move forward and we can have further conversation and get into the detailed design, those will get a bit more refined. Also wanted to talk just quickly about scheduling, and please jump in at any point, there's a lot of data here. So in terms of the schedule, the whole trigger here that came out of the conversation with the township as part of the land development plans for the middle school is that we need to get through the design, the permitting, and then the construction of these prior to the opening of the converted middle to elementary school. So we have until that time to get through this window. So it's going to take probably close to 10 to 12 months to get through all the design and permitting phase and get through the right-of-way acquisition stuff. So we're looking at 2022 as a potential time frame. This work likely wants to happen over the summer when school's out, a little bit less disruptive. Also gives us a little bit better chance to see if the construction market might stabilize just a little bit in terms of pricing. Right now it's a little tough to pin some of those things down. So likely could be 2022 construction. Depending on the timing of when the middle school conversion to elementary happens, if that is, I think, slated for later in 23, it is possible that some of this construction may move into that window. We don't want to push it to the very last minute, but certainly we can if that's a budget consideration or something else that might drive it. But right now, our target is to get through permitting over the next about 10 to 12 months so we can potentially bid and build next summer. Sorry, a lot of information. Happy to answer any questions I can, either about the estimate itself or about the proposal that was in front of the group last week for all the design and permitting and associated services to get this thing through construction.
The contingency is higher than we have on our buildings. Are you comfortable with that percentage?
So it's a little, comfortable is a good word, yes. Frankly, right now, because of what we're seeing in construction pricing, I felt inclined to leave it at that 20%. I can offer, and actually Phyllis and I spoke about this today, we will come back to you with a refined cost estimate as we move further into design. So certainly, typically for us, it's once we've made our first submission to PennDOT and we get one round of comments back and we can kind of see what they're looking for, if there's anything of concern. At that point, we can then dial in and say, okay, now we can start to firm up some of the numbers. Again, if the construction market has changed somewhat, we can adjust it, and at that point, we would drop the contingency. I should say reduce, not eliminate, but we would definitely reduce.
I don't need a response for this second comment because I've heard the responses before.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say that I am so unhappy that we were never given so much as a ballpark, no matter how broad, earlier than this.
Understood.
Any other questions, board? Comments, questions for board? If not, I need a motion to approve this so we can start the process here.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call starting with Mike.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in the coming months.
Dr. Z.
The Lancaster 11 and IU 13 budget is in front of you. It's the one we discussed last week, but we pulled it from consent because it needs to be a roll call vote.
Board, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call starting with Diane.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye.
Does this require a ballot?
I'm sorry,
Does this require a ballot?
a ballot?
It's one ballot that Todd signed, and I just fill in the 8-0.
Okay, thank you.
Staffing update.
This is an informational item, it's a staffing update. Now, this is current as of today. It may change as we move towards the school year, and I'll explain why. But as of today, these are the number of retirements that we have had. You will see that we have 3 from Fritz and 4 from Smoketown retiring this year. Like I said for the administrators earlier, I'd like to convey my thank you and appreciation to all of the teachers who are retiring, who put in years of service to the district and made a positive impact on all of our students. You'll see I also listed Dr. Cartwright down to the bottom. She's not a retirement, but she is a resignation. So what we're gonna do with these retirements is at the elementary level, there's 8 retirements. There's 1 that we are not gonna replace, and we are gonna staff through attrition, which means we are gonna move teachers from one overpopulated school grade level and slide them into one of the retirement areas. So that means we're not gonna hire new people, but we are gonna have 4 new hires of the 8. So 8 retirements results in 4 new hires. At the secondary level, we're still evaluating the student requests on the master schedule for the 2 high school teachers. We should have that wrapped up, if not at the end of this week, early next week. As we have discussed, we're replacing our supervisors and making them assistant principal positions. They're going from a 10-month to a 12-month position, and you just voted on replacing the assistant superintendent. So welcome again, Jill. The new positions that we're gonna have, we need a special education teacher at CVVA. I'm sorry.
Real quick. On the, replacing the SES, we have 2 that are retiring and then 2 will move to assistant principals, correct? Because we had 4.
But we are gonna replace the retiring supervisors with 10-month assistant principals.
Perfect, okay. And we're gonna put them around the,
Well, what we're gonna look at is, the plan is right now, 1 at the high school, 1 at the middle school.
so 3 at the high school.
There'll be 3 at the high school. There'll be 2 at the middle school. We're looking at sharing 1 at the elementary between the 2 populous buildings, Fritz and Smoketown. And looking at a CVVA administrator, because right now, we don't know how many are coming back or how many are staying with CVVA.
Okay.
We've made a guess of 80% coming back, but right now, that's an educated guess. And that's where I said, as of today, here's where we are. The new positions, we have a one-year position right now as a special education teacher with CVVA. That's gonna be a full-time position. We're gonna need a full-time special ed teacher with CVVA. And looking at the early enrollment numbers for kindergarten, Fritz is gonna have to go up one section. So that will be another add. Now, this does not include all of the special ed teachers that Sarah has mentioned in her plan by bringing students back. So that has not been touched. That is not on this presentation.
Will that be an addition?
It'll be an addition, but it'll be negated by the cost that we're putting out to those post districts.
You have a special ed teacher for CVVA listed under two different places. Is that the same person? It's both in slide 4 and in slide 5?
Yeah, we haven't seen 5 yet. Yes,
That's all the same person?
that is the same person, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go to that slide now. Like I said, we're looking at 80% of our students coming back. We do have currently have a teacher coordinator. We've had her pre-COVID. The new CVVA teacher, that is a teacher that was in a classroom and we've moved to CVVA. We're gonna keep her in CVVA. And then the new position is the CVVA special ed teacher. That would be a new hire if we don't renew the contract of the one that's there. The one-year contracted teachers will not be renewed in CVVA. That is not the plan for this year. And as you know, you all accepted that and approved it by drawing from our fund balance for that one-time agreement. So our estimated savings in salary and benefits, we're looking at just over 500,000 at the elementary, a little over 80 and 65 at secondary administration respectively, and not quite 7,000. The new positions will cost 166,000. So right now, just on the staffing that I talked about, we're looking a little bit over $500,000 in savings. Again, that does not include the special ed plan and moving our autism support classroom back. So we're still working on, like I said, is that secondary requirements. We don't know how many sections we need yet. We're close. I know that Dr. Smith and Dr. Mann are close on finalizing that. Elementary late enrollments, we have kids enrolling in our district a week after school starts. So as it fluctuates, we have to keep a look at class sizes, and sometimes we move teachers around. And then we're also looking at a transportation, personnel and transportation solution. We have a need in transportation to someone oversee that solely, because we have Ken overseeing, and he's also looking at the new construction projects that we have going on for the next 3 to 5 years. He's being pulled in too many different directions. Right now, we've hired Carlos to help oversee the maintenance or the custodial side, and we split that cost with SOSL. That's been phenomenal. So we're gonna look at some sort of solution moving forward to provide Ken some assistance on the transportation side.
And we've talked about that before.
We have,
Yeah.
and we looked through this year, and COVID hit last year.
Yeah.
And hit us hard. It's still hitting us, but this is something we need to do.
Okay.
Who's handling transportation now?
Ken's doing the
That's
transportation.
who I thought Ken did.
Julie Covey is the administrative assistant up there, who's also providing assistance. And then we work with Brightville, and Jackie Mathiot is our contact
So we
for
need
that.
this put all in one place.
We had thought it was best for Ken to be over at the new construction, so that way he can make sure he puts his eye to make sure not that it's done right, but it's done that he can maintain it.
Yeah, I
Correctly.
understand,
And then-
he will have his plate full.
Yes, and then let someone else kind of manage the
You
historical
will,
stuff.
'cause we still have Fred as our construction manager.
No, understand,
We just
not
need
nothing
that-
with Fred, but
that
Fred,
contact.
but when the construction's done, Fred's going off to the new project.
Yep.
And Ken has to inherit what's left.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a say in that.
When this starts to solidify a little better, I'd appreciate a new organizational chart.
You bet. Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
Denise and I already talked about that.
Good.
And I am interested in beefing up the elementary for assistant principals too, or at least take a look at it.
We are looking
Especially-
at them, we're looking at the numbers.
Yeah, especially when you start looking at bringing out some of the special support.
Yep.
You know, just,
We'll look
You
at the
need the
needs of the
firefighters,
needs
that's
of the
fine.
buildings moving forward.
because I think it builds our bench strength for development to principals, et cetera. It's a good thing.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, that was only the information on no action.
Okay. So board, you see in front of you the finance and operation reports and the curriculum instruction report. Any comments or questions that you have for the administration of them? Any federal funds tonight, doctors?
No, sir.
Just on the report, I do like how it's being written now. It's, in the past, it was all over the place, you could tell the different writing styles, et cetera. Now it flows much better, much easier to read. Just throwing that up.
Don Mann's the coordinator of that one.
Dr. Mann, thank you.
And then Phyllis takes care of the operations.
Phyllis, thank you. Anybody else?
Any highlights for us that aren't on your report that you'd like to bring
No, I
up?
don't think so. I think this time, pretty much everything that was happening got put in there.
All right. Fred,
Yes.
your turn.
So on the middle school, the overall project's at 26% complete. Some of the highlights right now is actually the big thing is the concrete precast plank being set on the multi-story section of the building, which is section A, or area A. Basically, it's masonry bearing, it's structural steel, and then the plank gets integrated with those two components. Picture there of the plank coming in, multiple, roughly about 10 or 12 trucks for that first floor level. The upper areas, B, C, and D, that's actually the photograph that you see now is the preparing for the slab, the concrete slab pour for the gymnasium. Foundations and footings, or I should say footings and foundations, are about 98% up in the rest of the building, actually for the total building right now at this point. Another picture of the masonry bearing and with the plank setting on that, being set on that, and it's integrated also with the structural steel. Site-wise, roughly right now, the turf fields are subgraded. The electrical contractor's running around all over the site, putting in the light post bases. Stormwater's well on its way. I'm gonna say that's probably in about the 90% range is how I'm reporting it. They're starting to lay out the main parking lot, curbing for that, and they're going to be working to stone that area. This photograph here is the subgrade for the turf fields. And again, the big operation now is getting the concrete plank set in place. Questions?
When do you expect, or maybe this is a question for anybody from the administration, so I understand the two turf fields getting set up, but so where the existing grass fields used to be, I'm understanding that they're gonna be reseeded in grass, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when does that, are they gonna be ready for our fall sports?
For the fall sports, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I was thinking about it as I drove past one time, I'm like, man, that's a whole lot of dirt. And I'm like, there needs to be a lot of grass there.
You know, it is, and we agreed that it was gonna look nice.
Yeah, no,
It wasn't
I
gonna be
understand.
breaking my ankle in
No,
holes.
no, we get it. I mean, I understand why we did it. I'm just looking at a lot of dirt going, man, that's a lot of grass that's gotta grow,
I
so.
would love it to look like the high school varsity, the one you have, the varsity field out here, the boys soccer field. I would love for it to look like that.
Well, that's what's getting done.
Well, that's, just want to reinforce it.
Yep, so, great.
Well,
Any
one
other
of the-
comments
one
for
of the
Because we turned down the extra turf.
One of the advantages of that is many years ago, we did a major evaluation following PIAA directions of fields, width of fields, that now our fields will all have been graded.